KaTO Architecture from Boston just proposed a $3.5 billion renovation for RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. The project completely reimagines the current stadium, rebuilds the sustainable one from massive timber, and completely reimagines the areas around it, a first in stadium design. For now, they're waiting to see if DC approves this bold move. However, if they do, the new RFK Stadium is going to be the crown jewel of not just DC, but of the entire USA. So let's discuss it in today's episode of Built Up. So there's this architecture firm out of Boston, KaTO Architecture, that just threw out a pretty wild idea for the RFK Stadium site in DC. Their pitch? A 70,000-seat stadium made mostly of wood. Well, technically mass timber, which is a super strong, eco-friendly engineered wood. If this actually happened, it would be one of the largest mass timber stadiums ever built. KaTO's design isn't just another generic stadium, they're going for something unique. The stadium would have a transparent dome, letting in natural light, but keeping fans dry if the weather turns bad. Instead of a closed-off stadium, their design includes massive panoramic windows framing the Capitol, Washington Monument, and the Anacostia River. Unlike FedEx Field, which is all about the Washington Commanders, KaTO wants this to be a national stadium, a US version of Wembley, UK, or Estadio Azteca, Mexico. This means it could host international soccer matches, Super Bowls, concerts, and big national events. KaTO isn't just pitching a stadium, they want to revitalize the whole area. Their vision includes 2,000 housing units, both affordable and market rate, as well as shops, restaurants, and commercial space. They're also proposing parks and community areas to make the RFK site feel like a real neighborhood, rather than just a stadium surrounded by parking lots. The complete project would have an estimated cost of $3.5 billion. That number is based on how much these types of stadiums cost right now. But what will we actually get in that price range? Now, before we move on to the next section, please don't forget to subscribe if you like the video so far. KaTO Architecture isn't just proposing a new RFK Stadium. They're reimagining how stadiums are built. Instead of the usual steel and concrete, they want to top this thing off with a mass timber roof, something that's never been done at this scale before. And while steel and concrete production pumps out tons of CO2, timber actually stores carbon, making it one of the most eco-friendly building materials out there. If the wood comes from responsibly managed forests, this stadium could be one of the greenest ever built. KaTO's design includes a transparent dome-like roof, likely using massive timber beams combined with glass or ETFE, that lightweight see-through material used in high-tech stadiums like Allianz Arena. This setup would let in tons of natural light while still keeping fans protected from rain and snow. Since timber is naturally great for acoustics, this design could actually improve the crowd experience. Instead of sound bouncing harshly like in a concrete stadium, the wood would absorb and distribute noise more evenly, making the energy inside feel even bigger. Smaller arenas have experimented with timber, but no one has ever built a roof this massive out of it. If this happens, it could change stadium design forever. A greener, more beautiful, and more innovative way to build. Sounds like a win. The upper bowl would stay cool with natural ventilation. Since hot air rises, vents near the roof, possibly operable skylights or louvers, would let heat escape. Plus, mass timber doesn't trap heat like steel, so the space wouldn't feel like an oven. The super concourse would take advantage of cross ventilation. Instead of a closed-off tunnel, it could have large open-air sections or retractable panels, letting fresh air flow through. This would create a breezy, comfortable experience without blasting AC everywhere. In the lower bowl, air would come from underseat vents or floor-based air circulation, pushing cool air upward where fans need it. This method is way more efficient than dumping cold air from overhead. KaTO's design might also use a chimney effect, where hot air naturally rises and exits, pulling in cooler air below. Add in some smart ventilation tech, and you've got a stadium that stays comfortable without wasting energy. And the amenities would be completely reimagined for this new stadium. KaTO's new RFK Stadium wouldn't just be a replacement, it's a whole new experience compared to the old place. First off, you can say goodbye to the cramped seats. The new stadium would have wider seats with better legroom. Plus, with a transparent roof, there'd be more natural light and better temperature control, so fans won't roast in the summer heat. Expect a more comfortable and premium experience, especially with extra luxury suites. Gone are the days of boring stadium snacks and long food lines. The new stadium would have multiple food courts featuring local DC dishes. Think crab cakes, gourmet hot dogs, and plenty of bars around the venue. You'd also find quick service kiosks, so you're not stuck waiting in line for ages. The old RFK was pretty much a Wi-Fi dead zone. The new stadium, free high-speed Wi-Fi everywhere and plenty of charging stations. You'll be able to share your game experience in real time without worrying about your phone dying. And say goodbye to the cramped restrooms. The new stadium would have more bathrooms, better accessibility, and wider concourses to keep the crowds moving smoothly. Beyond the game, there'd be interactive fan zones, art exhibits, and maybe even a museum about the team or the city. It's not just about watching sports, it's about making the whole day an experience. Unlike the old stadium, this one would have green spaces, solar panels, and even rainwater systems to make it way more eco-friendly. The massed timber roof would also reduce the overall carbon footprint, giving the stadium a more sustainable vibe. But like we said, this stadium isn't the only project. KaTO Architecture is trying to reimagine the entire area around the stadium with all sorts of different venues. KaTO isn't just thinking about the stadium, they're reimagining the whole area around it. They want to turn the RFK site into a thriving mixed-use neighborhood. There's a hotel planned, probably with great rooftop views of the Capitol and Anacostia River. Perfect for out-of-town visitors. Right next to it, you'd have around 2,000 residential units, mixing affordable and market-rate housing, making the area a true community, not just a stadium. Instead of massive parking lots, they're thinking underground or structured garages to save space and keep things walkable. And there'd be plenty of mixed-use spaces like restaurants, shops, and entertainment spots built right into the district. So, whether there's a game or not, the place would always have something going on. KaTO also envisions athletic facilities, public fields, training centers, and walking trails, so it's not just for big events. They want the whole area to feel active year-round. For getting around, the site's near the Stadium Armory Metro Station, but expect even more bike and pedestrian paths to make things easier. They're also thinking about some cultural recreation spaces like museums or public art to give the whole place a real DC vibe. Basically, KaTO wants to turn the RFK site into a living, breathing part of the city, not just a stadium. But the problem is, this is just a sketch, a mock-up, and a vision for the area that the architects at KaTO came up with. But will it be actually built? Alright, here's the catch. This is just a concept, not an official project. A few big hurdles stand in the way. First, nobody actually asked for this. KaTO wasn't hired by DC, the commanders, or the federal government. They just came up with this idea on their own. Then there's the issue of the old RFK Stadium, which is already set for demolition. Even if that goes smoothly, rebuilding something this massive would take tons of money and political approval. Now, the biggest wild card is the Washington Commanders. They haven't decided if they want to stay in Maryland, move to Virginia, or push for an RFK rebuild. Their decision will be a huge factor in what happens next. So, is this actually going to happen? Well, for now, it's just a dream on paper, but it's a cool one. The use of mass timber is a fresh take on stadium design, and if this idea gets enough traction, it might influence how DC moves forward with the RFK site. If it does, it's going to be a high-profile stadium project in the United States. It'll be the crown jewel of the DC area. It will definitely attract a whole lot of people, but like we said, KaTO Architecture needs to have the project approved before they can go on selling it. Now, would you like RFK Stadium to be replaced with this completely wooden stadium? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, here's another video mega project enthusiasts enjoyed watching. Bye for now.